Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasangati Bodhisvaha Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasangati Bodhisvaha Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasangati Bodhisvaha. Okay. It seems like they say in the group discussion we are talking about that there is some discussion on with pertaining to the emptiness of autonomous substantial reality. It is related to identifying the object identification, and in terms of the emptiness of objective existence is about the mode of existence. Okay, yes. We will speak about how this object exists, objectively, subjectively, we're talking about the mode of existence. And then when we speak about whether or not the object exists as autonomous substantially the real, and we talk about how the object is identified. But at the same time, don't get stuck with one point. Even with the mode of existence or existence, we can speak about, the flower. The flower, how does the flower exist? How does the flower exist? The same object, the flower, we can talk about the emptiness of objective existence of the flower, as well as we can talk about the emptiness of autonomous substantial reality of the flower. The flower, how does the flower exist? So pertaining to emptiness of autonomous substantial reality, we can say that the flower exists as a phenomena to be identified. You're getting it? To be identified by dependence on identifying something else, which is not a flower. Which is not a flower referring to the color of the flower, shape of the flower, or the atoms of the flower, and so forth. So we can identify the flower by identifying something else. Then say, how does the flower exist? And then if you're more interested to know whether it exists subjectively, then you say that the flower exists subjectively, it is empty of objective existence, it does not exist objectively. Okay. And so these things are there. Okay, so it is not something that we can expect to resolve all these things within a day to 1 week, 2 weeks, like that. Just keep exploring and try to relate the same concept with the emptiness of external reality, emptiness of true existence, as the presented by Svatanta Madhyamika, then the emptiness of objective existence presented by Prasangika. Try to relate them, So for that we have to enrich our knowledge, and if possible, group discussion would be extremely beneficial. And then group discussion, don't get stuck there. Just with the same point, that somebody says yes, somebody says no, and then spend so much time on this, it's going to be so much a waste of time. So what you do is that if the questions come up, and then say particularly if you understand what the other person has to say, and then if you see that you cannot give any more the substantial, the reasoning, whatever, and what you said, if the other person understood it, that's fine. And then you may not come to any conclusion, don't worry. Keep it there, and then move to the next topic. Then over time, slowly as this is very strange. as we understand the following stanzas, if we learn, as we learn the following passages, stanzas more and more, then the earlier points which we were left very inconclusive, you'll come to resolve them so easily, right? So this is how all these topics are connected to each other. Okay. So this is we're talking about the emptiness of external reality. So the external reality, as I said earlier, that according to this school, everything is the nature of the mind. According to Chittamata school, everything is the nature of the mind, not that everything is mind, it is nature of the mind. Nature of the mind means that things are, say the things are the same entity as the direct perception which perceives them, right? Same entity, they are not external in space. One. And then number two, what we're talking about is the emptiness of substantial, duality, of subject-object duality. Substantial subject-object duality. What do you mean by that? Again, these are very technical terms, but not difficult. Not difficult. They become difficult only when you forget the terms, and then suddenly these terms come back. When these terms are introduced, you understand it. It's very easy. You understand it, particularly somebody who is more exposed to the study of the science, study of logic, philosophy, even from the Western philosophy, psychology, and the Hindu philosophy, and the Jain philosophy. And then come here, you can easily understand them. But I am saying that these are not difficult concepts. They become difficult when you forget these vocabularies. Suddenly these vocabularies, they come, then you try to interpret them in your own ways. Then all these, entanglements in your thought happens. Okay. So this is not a difficult thing. Say emptiness of the substantial duality of the object and subject. So here, let's say you look at this flower. Look at this flower. So the flower is your object or the subject. Object is the subject. Your mind. Your mind is the subject. So when you look at this object, okay. How many things are there in my hand? Two. Are they one or different? Different. Different means there's a dual. There are two. Dual. There's a two there. The dual objects. There's duality in your object. You're getting it? So the duality, when you speak about the duality, don't forget this part. This part is extremely important. Later on, we will have to discuss this pertaining to, of course, the Prasangika. Then, when you study the Madhyamika Avatar pertaining to the Svatandra Madhyamika, the duality. Right? And then finally, Gade, Paragade, when you reach the Paragade level, the non-duality. How the non-duality comes in. For that matter, we have to understand the duality in two contexts. Duality in two contexts. Okay. Say, how many objects are there? Dual. There are two objects. You're getting it? So, and what sees this duality? Your mind sees the duality. Your subject sees the object as dual. You're getting it? Okay. Now, how many objects are there? Duality dissolves. You're getting it? Object-wise, duality dissolves. There's only one. Because there's no dual. You're getting it? But when you look at it, what is this? Object or subject? Object, where's the subject? Your mind. You're getting it? Your mind, this object, your mind is the subject, and the flower is the object. Are these two or these two one? These two are one. These two are two. These two are two. Because these are two, there's a duality. You're getting it? Subject-object duality. Earlier, object duality. Earlier, there's object duality. You see the two objects. Now you remove one object, there's only one object, but the duality is not within the object, the duality is between the object and subject. duality. You're getting it? Okay. So your mind is a substance, this flower is a substance. You're getting it? So there's a substantial duality. But according to Chittamatra, what you see is dual, substantially dual. What you see substantially dual, this is erroneous. This is mistaken. You're getting it? What you see is a substantial dual between the object and the subject. This is erroneous. This is wrong. This is ignorance. Perceiving this as a substantial dual, as we see it now, this is the erroneous. So now in actuality, your mind is like a mirror, and the flower that you're seeing is like the reflection of the flower in the mirror. So these two, there's no substantial duality. If your mind is like a mirror, and the flower that you're seeing is the reflection in the mirror, then there's no substantial duality. You're going to get subject-object duality stops. If you realize that this is like the mirror and the reflection mirror, then subject-object duality stops. So that becomes the emptiness of the substantial duality of the object and subject. You're getting it? Substantial. Substantial meaning that the flower is a substance, your mind is a substance, both a substance, and there are two, but the erroneous mind, for the erroneous mind, these two are two. For the non-erroneous mind, you see them as, okay, this flower and your mind. You see these two things. How you see? This is not you. Okay, now I'm seeing this flower and I'm thinking of mind seeing the flower. Don't make the two things as your object. So look at this object. When you look at this object, your mind, how this mind sees this, perceives this flower, how to see this, perceives this as a dual or as a mix. How do you see this? As dual. And how do you know this, or how do you explain this? You know this, but how do you explain that I'm seeing this flower in a dualistic fashion with respect to my eye consciousness? How? There's a space gap, right? There's a space gap. Okay, good. So therefore, this is known as the substantially dual. And then when you see that this is mistaken, you see that you realize the emptiness of this substantial duality of the object and the subject. Okay, so those of you who like to learn this in Tibetan, these technical terms, feel free to get from me separately. Right? Those who like to learn these vocabularies, the emptiness of substantial duality of the object and subject. Okay, what could be the next question? What is there? Is that the flower that you're seeing is the object, and your mind is the subject. Perceiving this flower, you see this flower as substantially dual, and this is erroneous, right? In actuality, your mind is not seeing the flower as with a physical gap in space. There's no gap in space. This is not external. So what you see as the substantially dual is actually seeing a gap. Seeing gap is seeing externality. That is mistaken. You're getting it? So, in other words, the point is seeing the object and subject as substantially dual is seeing the object and subject as separated by distance, separated by gap. Seeing the object and subject separated by gap, distance, is seeing the object as external to the mind. You're getting it? So, seeing the object as external to the mind, seeing the object and subject as with the substantially the dual. So these two are synonymous. You're getting it? Number two. Then what could be the next question? If you have no next question, I'll switch to the third point. Okay, third point. Third point is, what is the third point? First one is emptiness of external reality. Number two is emptiness of a substantial duality of the subject and object. This is number two. What is number three? Emptiness of the objects being too referent of the label, right? Okay. And the point is that these technical terms we have to learn. right? These technical terms you have to learn. Strange. Is it inside or outside? Huh? Where? Okay. Okay. So these technical terms, they are not difficult, but right? But then there's a tendency for us to just take it easy. If you take it easy, you'll forget it. Once you forget it, later on these technical terms, then you will see that, oh, these are just technical terms, intellectual thing, right? Practice is different. And to justify what you're doing, you will say that these are just intellectual, the discussions. So we have to practice. This is very sad, very pathetic. Right? Okay, so what we have to practice, we have to know what to practice. And these things are the best thing to learn what to practice. Okay. And so therefore, if possible, you put your own effort, put a little bit of effort, right? Put a little bit of effort. Don't expect that everything will be taught to you A, B, C, D, right? They say the points will be given there, and good discussions, and questions coming to your mind. See if you can resolve these questions. If I say that elephant is huge, my pocket is small, don't ask me whether the elephant can fit in a pocket. You're getting it? If a question comes to you, oh, I have a pocket. How can I carry the elephant? I have a pocket there. An elephant is huge. My pocket is small. He dropped me. Right? So whether I can carry the elephant in the pocket, hey, can I take the elephant in the pocket? Don't ask this question to me. I told you what the elephant is like, what the pocket is like. It is your job, at least give a little bit of effort. You don't want to put even, some people, they don't want to put even the small effort, right? To think, you don't want to think. The question comes and, hey, elephant can fit in the pocket, right? Pocket is small, elephant is huge, right? Elephant is huge. So whether it fits or not, you think. Okay, so therefore, there are questions which you can, oftentimes, you can resolve with all the clues given. Okay. Okay, yes.
What about a time gap with this subject-object duality?
Okay, very good question. Same with the time gap. What we see as time gap, okay, this is a good question. I should not say so many things. Right, okay. So I said time, and then the question becomes time gap. Okay. With the time gap as well, say there is a time gap. So with the mind, first moment of the mind, second moment of the mind, third moment of the mind of 2016, mind of 2017, mind of 2018. There's a time gap. You're getting it? There's a time gap. But my mind perceiving the time, my mind, direct perception, perceiving the past and future, right? So that is not my direct perception. Direct perception perceives the time which is present. Okay, so the time that you perceive, in your perception, if you see the time, for example, this flower keeps degenerating. And my mind looks at the flower. I see the flower as externally there. And I see the flower as externally degenerating with the time. Right? So, in other words, I see the flower with the characteristics of externality and with time. The space gap with the time. So what I see as the flower that is externally degenerating with time and space, that is what we can say as illusion or deceptive. Okay. Yes, Ajirji.
Sir, can we use the example of memory in the time gap?
Okay, memory. Can we include memory
time
to explain the time gap? Good question. Okay, if you could remember, if you could quickly retrieve what I was constantly emphasizing, direct perception. You're getting it? I'm not including memory, I'm not including conceptualization. With the conceptualization, and not only conceptualization, mistaken minds, and not only mistaken minds, distorted minds, right? Say, I hallucinate. So that the hallucination, what is, I hallucinated a tiger. And so the hallucination, the appearance of the tiger, that's the nature of my mind. But I see as a tiger, that tiger is in the first place non-existent. It's non-existent, right? But the appearance of the tiger is, of course, the nature of my mind. Whereas this flower is the nature of the mind. Not only the appearance of the flower, appearance is also the nature of the mind. With the hallucination, tiger, and the appearance of the tiger, this tiger, because it's non-existent, it's not the nature of the mind, right? But the appearance of the tiger is the nature of my mind. Whereas with the flower plus the appearance of the tiger, the appearance of the flower, both are the nature of the mind, according to this school, right? So the point is direct perception. We are not including the conceptual thoughts. We're not talking about the memories and so forth, right? So this is where substantial. We're talking about we are talking about the what? The emptiness of the substantial duality of the subject object. That subject should not be the conceptual, should not be the memory, and so should be the direct perception, valid direct perception. Okay, so with this now yes, Dibeshla.
I'm not sure if it's appropriate before you move to number 3. How would Chittamatra posit to differentiate between dream and dreamlike? Like, what they are saying is that everything is dreamlike. Like currently,
That's easy.
So how does Chittamatra
The
posit to
dream and the dreamlike. Say what is non-dream, described as dreamlike, and what is dream? How do you distinguish the two? The dream is something which is not really prophetic, which is not something, say, like the causally prophetic. It is not causally prophetic, meaning that it's not causally efficacious. Say, you plant the apple seed, and in the dream, mango can grow. Right? Where in the dreamlike, which is not a dream, in the dreamlike, only when you plant a mango seed, then you can expect mangoes growing, not apples. Whereas you plant an apple seed, you can't expect mangoes growing in the dreamlike, which is not a dream. This is of course, the efficaciousness of the causation. On that basis, make distinction.
But Geshida, from Chittamatra perspective, the causality specifically within direct perception is also not so nicely defined as far as I understand. For example, in Buddhist psychology, we learn the condition of the object should exist before it, let's say eye consciousness seeing the flower. The flower should exist before the eye consciousness seeing the flower comes in being.
This is the deceptive philosophy of the other schools. Chittamatra would say that this is unnecessary. This is an unfortunate, deceptive philosophy of the other schools.
But I mean,
they indoctrinated the Bishla.
So to differentiate between dream and dreamlike, we bring in causality. And then if we question the way they posit causality, they are saying this is deceptive.
No, causality is one thing which is so precious for all four schools. Law of karma is the foundation. Because of the efficacy of the law of karma, the four schools, they say that my philosophy is correct because the law of karma is applicable. is efficacious. In your case, you cannot account for the law of karma. This is how all schools they defend their position and try to say they reject the position of other Buddhist schools by saying that you are denigrating the law of karma, right? So law of karma is the basic foundation for all the 4 Buddhist schools. Okay, with this, now the third one. What's the third one? Okay, what is the third version of the emptiness according to Chitamatra? Anyone else? What is the third version of emptiness according to Chitamatra? Yes, Radhika ji.
Emptiness of the object being true referent of the label.
Emptiness of the object being the true referent of the label. Very good. Very good. And the emptiness of the form being true referent of the label form. Very good. Okay. So again, of course, this one, in the big monastic universities, they are amongst the scholars, amongst the great, very good scholars, refined scholars, there are discussions whether the emptiness of the objects being true referent to the label and the emptiness of externality, these two are identical or not. Questions are there. That, of course, what is being understood is that this seeing the object as empty of being true referent to the label. So this will take us to the understanding of the Chitamatra, understanding of what? Absence of externality, right? But are these two identical? For example, say we speak about the third level of dependent origination for prasangika, third level of dependent origination, emptiness. We see that if you understand the third level of dependent origination, you understand emptiness. If you understand emptiness, you understand the third level of dependent origination. But the third level of dependent origination is positive phenomena or negative phenomena? It's a positive phenomena, whereas emptiness is a negative phenomena, non-affirming negative phenomena. So these two are not synonymous. These two are not identical in that sense. One is positive, one is negative. Likewise, although these two, you understand the first one, you understand the second, you understand the second, you understand the first. But are these two identical? The answer is no. These two are not identical. One is positive phenomena, one is negative phenomena. Likewise, emptiness of externality. On one hand, emptiness of the objects being the true referent of the label. So are these two identical? Right? Some scholars say yes, these two are identical. Some say these are not. Right? Okay. So don't be rigid. Don't be rigid in your mind. You can, in your mind, first understand what is the emptiness of externality. You try to understand this. Then try to understand what is meant by how things are empty of being true referent of the label. You have to understand this. Once you understand this, then put yourself, as I said earlier, once you understand what a pocket is, pocket of your shirt and the size of the elephant, once you know this thing, you have to do the job to see whether the elephant you can carry in your pocket. And that is your job. So likewise, you have to understand these two separately. If you don't understand these two things separately, if you don't get the conviction that things are empty of externality, that things are empty of being the true reference of the label, if you don't get this conviction, then there's no way by which to compare the two, to see whether these are identical or these are not identical. And of course, these two should be pointing to the same understanding of how everything is the nature of the mind. They should point to the same, but whether or not these two are identical, right? Say the third level of dependent origination will point to the ultimate intention of the Buddha, and the emptiness of objective existence will also point to the ultimate intention of Buddha, but these two are not identical, right? So likewise, our job is to see whether these two are identical. Okay, for that matter, we have to understand these two things separately. What do you understand by the object, the flower being empty of the true referent of the label, right? Okay, let's say that so this is I'd like to share some thoughts which are how the national universities discussions start, right? So for example, let's say the flower. Let's say, oh, where's Ankit? Okay, Angela is there, right? But what does it mean by Ankit? What's the meaning of Ankit? What's the meaning of Ankit? Huh?
Inscription.
Inscription. Okay, inscription. What's the meaning of Shalini? Skillful. You are. Okay, inscription. So our Ankit is not inscription, he's human being. Right? Okay, let's say Ankit. Let's say Ankit. And okay, tell me, why should he be labeled as Ankit and not as Pranshu? Huh? No, give your thoughts, please. Why should our friend now called as Ankitla should be was labeled as Ankitla and not as Pranshu, not as Ajirji? Why? Anyone? It's random. It's random. What do you mean by random?
It's mere convention.
Convention. No. Don't blame everything to convention. Okay, just what do you mean by random? 2 plus 2 is random? It's not random, right? It's not random. So randomness and convention, these two are not same, right? Okay, say what do you mean by random? Anyone?
Without a reason.
Yes, Tejala?
Without a reason.
Okay, without a reason. Yes, without any logical reason, you just you randomly give a name and so forth. So if our friend Ankitla today, who is known as Ankitla, if he was given the label, the Ajirji, now today he becomes Ajirji. Yes? You agree with me? Or Lokesh seems like he's not agreeing with us. Lokesh, when you're born, you are given the name Ankitla. Today you are Ankitla, yeah?
Yeah, we call it.
Wonderful. You're not Ankitla. You'll be called Ankitla. You're not Ankitla. No, if you are given the label, day when you were born, you're given the label, then today everybody will call you Ankitla. Who's Ankitla? I'm Ankitla. This you. Okay, so we see that the same Ankitla, if I say, oh, where's Ankitla? Who you're going to point to? There, right? Okay, so Ankitla is the referent of the label Ankitla, right? Okay, Ankitla is the referent of the label Ankitla. Is he truly the referent of Ankitla? If yes, the day when he was born, whether you call him, say, the Ajirji, whether you call him Lokesh or whatever, right? He would, from his own side, he will say that I'm Ankitla, right? Is that true? It will not happen. So therefore, this means that he is not the true referent of the label Ankitla, because he can be. It's not that we can give only one name to him. We can give randomly. We can give any label to him. So therefore, he is not the true referent of the label Ankitla, right? Okay, Venerable, your name?
My name Han.
Han or Hum?
Han.
Han.
Yeah.
Okay.
H-U-O-N-E.
Okay, Hong. Okay, say Hong. Okay, where's Hong? Venerable Hong is here. So, see Venerable Hong being the referent of the label Venerable Hall. Right? Is she the true referent of the label Venerable Hall? No. She can be called with any other name. You're getting it? She can be randomly given any other name. So therefore, she's not the true referent of the label Hall. You're getting it? Okay. So the flower. Is this flower? What is in my hand? Is this flower? Don't say this is a fake flower like this, right? Just say yes. Okay, this is a flower. Is this, if I say, I want a flower, right? Okay, usually wherever I go for retreats, teaching and so forth, people make sure there's a flower there, right? Then the organizers, they will say, oh, you must bring a flower, he must have a flower there, right? This is how the organizers, they make sure that. In Malaysia also it happened. The Malaysian organizer, he knows me so well, he told the students, it was the program organized by the students in the university. My friend, he told the students that you must bring a flower. Okay, so they could not find flower. It was raining so badly. They had no idea. So my friend, he said that, so they told him that we couldn't get a flower. He said, do you have a flower in the principal's office? They said, yes. Get it. They got the flower there. Okay, so what is this? So he's looking for flower, right? Then if you have this object in your hand, what will you do? You'll give this. What I used is just words. You're getting it? Which word did I use? The word or the label flower. And then you brought this object. This object is not the label. This object is not the label. This object is a solid object. Label is a word, sound. This is a visual object. This is not a sound. But with the sound, you bring this object. I said, I want a flower. You bring this object. So this object becomes a referent of the word that I use, the label that I use. This becomes a referent of this label. Okay. How come that this object becomes a referent of the label flower? And why not? Why not your books? Why not your rosaries become the referent of this object? Because this object is randomly given the label flower, and this is how everybody accepts, right? Everybody accepts. Okay, so now this object has become the referent of the label flower. Okay, but is this the true referent to the label flower? No. If it is, what's the problem? No matter what label that you give, right? It should be somehow, it should be known as flower from its own side. Then the label should not be coming from somebody else, it should come from the object. Since this is not the case, and this is how the object is not the true referent of the label. This is one way of understanding it. It's not this is one way of understanding the concept, but we have to explore more. Okay, any questions? If I say that this is an understanding of the objects being empty of the true referent of the label. Any questions that you might have? Anyone? Yes, Lokeshla?
Geshe-la, it's probably not half relevant, but there are creatures in the world who don't label, who don't have language, and still you would say they suffer from this ignorance.
Who?
There would be creatures like ants and dogs who
do not
label, who don't have this ability to label things.
Okay, who do not have the labels,
but still
they operate.
Still they operate, and
they
still
operate so
we
well.
would still see, and we would still say that they suffer from ignorance because they are still samsaric beings.
Yeah.
So how does that work out then?
No, so your question should be very clear. So, okay, let me paraphrase your question. Correct me if I'm wrong. So what Lokeshla is saying is that even those creatures who do not have the labels, who do not have the words, labels, they still operate, they still function so well. They distinguish things so well, right? This is my party, this is other party, they fight, there's a labor group, right? They are the people who guide and the laborers, right? And then who the fighters, all are there amongst them, right? And they know who are their party, from their party, who are from the enemy party. They know that so well. You getting it? Okay. But they don't use labels. How do they communicate? How do they operate? Right? Okay. So the answer is the labels are nothing. Labels mean the words, sounds. The sounds are nothing but the expressions of your thoughts. You getting it? Sounds are nothing but the expressions of your thoughts. Say, if I'm sick, I want, I feel dry mouth. I want water, right? So, how to express my thought? I use the language, the labels to express my thought. I want water. Then you'll bring this object, right? This object, and then it'll help me to remove my problem. So these labels are nothing but the expressions of the thoughts. So therefore, the labels in the Buddhist psychology, the labels are seen as two. One is the label in the form of the sound, and the other in the label of the thought in the form of the thoughts. You getting it? Label in the form of the sounds, and the true label is the label in the form of the thoughts. From the labels are two what express the thoughts. Labels meaning, label is to communicate. Real communication is done through the thought processes, mental processes. Okay. So therefore, they have the labels. They don't have the sound labels, right? From what for example, the bats, they use the microwaves to, to infrared rays, right? So likewise, we never know what ants use, right? But from our perception point of view, we see that they don't have the sound, infrared, or whatever sound, whatever the frequency. This is what we speculate. But whatever is the case, they have the thought process, and thought process so well conveyed to the other creatures, right? They never eat themselves. They eat or they fight with only the enemy ends. They have a very clear distinction, right? Okay. Yes.
Ishwar, this third way of presenting emptiness
Yes.
within Chittamatra, can we say that it's more pervasive? Because the first two levels you said that you were using the word direct perception. So is this the third level that we can use within the conceptual domain, memory also?
Okay. Let's say the flower being the true referent of the label flower. It has nothing to do with the perception. You getting it? So whereas in the second case, we're talking about the object being empty of the substantial duality between the object and the subject. So subject is involved there. Subject, I said it should be the direct perception. So whereas here we're talking about the flower not being the true referent, empty of being true referent of the label flower, the label. The label here, the sound or the conceptual thought of the flower. And that's very clear. So it does not involve anything like the direct, non-direct, whatever. So this is conceptual or the sound label, the sound.
So are we ruling out direct in the third one?
Say?
Are we ruling out direct perception, or
No,
direct
no,
perception
no.
is also there?
No, so there are two things. Okay, these are the nuances that we need to follow. So let's say one is my mind, which sees the third version. I wouldn't say third level, third version of the emptiness according to the mantra. My mind. This mind which sees the third version of the emptiness of Chiddamatra. This mind can it be conceptual, direct, it can be both. Right? Whereas in the second case, say the mind which sees the emptiness of the substantial non-duality, emptiness of the substantial duality of object and subject, So there, the mind which sees there's one subject there, and inside the object there's a subject object. You're getting it? There are two subjects involved. Are we talking about the subject in the case of the subject, subject, or the subject subject in the object? Which do I referring to? You're getting it? So there are two subjects involved. One in the form of subject as a subject, one in the form of subject in the object. Whereas in the case of the third version, there's only one subject. Subject is the subject. Within the object, the subject that involved maximum is the label, it's not the consciousness as such. Yeah. So this subject which sees the third level can be conceptual, can be direct. When you're in the Gade first two levels, it is conceptual. When you reach the Paragade level, then it becomes direct. Okay. Your question? This is Usila.
Yeshila, earlier you had done this with us, so now it's my ignorance. But I think there was a deeper level of understanding of this third version.
Okay. Good, very good.
Where it was about subject-object. Because if there's nothing fundamentally Ankitla about Ankitla as the object, the referent of the label Ankitla, then the role of the subject, so I think that this understanding in relation to the version 1.
Not version 1.
No, like because there are debates, right, on whether this is identical to that or not.
That is different.
That
is as I said earlier, we have to, once you know what the first version is, what the second version is, what the third version is, then you have to put your effort to see whether they are identical or not. This is a different question. Yeah? If you don't have the question pertaining to the third, I'll ask the question to you. Once I ask the question, don't ask the question back to me again. Right? Which means that you either give the answer, you give the question. If you give the question, I can give the answer. If I give the question, you have to give the answer. Right? So the moment I ask the question, I don't expect you to ask the question back to me, because this question is coming from me and you should not bounce back.
How would we, the version 3, establish version 1?
No, that's not the question.
How would we use...
That's fine. That's easy.
I see.
Okay. So the question that I'd like to ask you is that no questions should come from the regular students as well as from the online participants, right? My question is coming from now. This understanding of the third version of the emptiness, the objects being empty of true reference to the label, if this is how we understand it, this is something which even the Vaibhashika understands. This is what Southern all philosophers can understand it. So this is not something, this is not something which only the Chittamatra can understand it. For example, say the Angela who gave you the name? Your parents. Even Angela's parents, I don't think Angela's parents are Chittamatra philosophers. They're not, right? So even Angela's parents were not at all Chittamatra philosophers. Even they know that he became Angela because we gave the label. He's not, we just randomly gave him the label, Angela. Right? Even they know that Angela is empty of being the true referent of the label if how we explain is that meaning that Angela become the referent of the label was because of they labeling. When the child comes out, oh, Angela came out. No. So they randomly gave the label Angela. Even Angela's parents know so well who gave this label, the name Ankit. So therefore, if this is Chittamata's philosophy, then everybody Chittamata's philosophy becomes so gross, so easy for people to understand it. But in actuality, Chittamata's philosophy is very complicated. right? So if this is how we understand the emptiness of the objects being empty or true referent of the label, then it becomes very easy. You're getting it? So it must be subtler than that. Okay, so this I asked the question, now I'm freed from the responsibility to give the answer. Okay, yes. You want to give the answer? Yes, yes, yes.
Geshe-la, I think Chittamatra would be subtler than Vibhashika thinking about the different label form. Because from Vibhashika there would be still two different entities. But for it would be two different entities. But for Chittamatra, it is the imputation by thoughts which is creating the difference between the label and the object. But actually they appear as two different entities, but actually is the same entity.
Which one?
If we are saying that
Which are the two entities? Which are the two same entities?
the flower and the label flower,
Okay, flower and the label flower. These two are, according to Chittamatra, same entity.
same entity.
Okay. How many agree with Rimala? The flower and the label. Which label? The sound?
The sound label.
Okay, the sound flower the sound that I produced, a sound label, the flower and the actual flower, the object flower, and the sound, the label flower. These two are same entity according to Chittamatra. Okay.
They
No.
would say it's the thoughts which is creating the difference between the label and the label and the object flower. But in actuality, it's the difference. It's either isolate twice different than it twice same.
Okay, you're talking something very important, but you are talking something very important, but a distinction has to be made, right? So the Chittamatra is not making the distinction between the flower and the label, right? Chittamatra is saying that the flower and
The difference of the label.
No, the flower and the direct perception, which is the flower, these two are seen as same entity. These two are split apart by the conceptual thought. You're getting it? The label splits the two,
The label splits the difference.
right? Not the mind splits the label and the flower. Label the flower, these two are split. Reality has these two split. But the reality, the direct perception of the flower and the flower, these two are not split in reality. Entity-wise, these two are not split. But the conceptual thought or the label splits the two. You're getting it? Okay. So the Rimala is bringing up the very complicated point, so which is taking us closer towards the understanding, the real understanding of the third level. Okay, let me say like this. This is a good point, thank you. Okay. Okay, tell me. Okay, this is going to be a little complicated. Just listen to this, and if you get it, very good. And you get it, and when you leave this room, it may disappear, it doesn't matter. You're getting it? Okay, so say, what is in my hand? Flower. And how do you know that there's a flower in my hand? Your eye consciousness. Your eye consciousness is a direct, valid direct perceiver or deceptive direct perceiver? Valid direct perceiver, right? Valid direct perceiver. So let's say that this valid direct perceiver of yours, seeing the flower in the flower, these two are the same entity or different entities? Hey, don't think that you're Prasangikas. All right, come back to Chittamatra. Say you are Chittamatra philosopher. From your philosophy point of view, Your eye consciousness seeing the flower directly, perceiving directly, this eye consciousness, and the flower that your eye consciousness is seeing. These two are same entities or different entities? How come? Same nature. How these are same nature? They are like the, for example, the dreaming mirror and the reflection mirror, the dreaming mind and what is dream. Very good. The same nature. Same nature means where the mirror is, you're getting it? Where the mirror is, reflection mirrors should be also there. If you hold the mirror, reflection mirror should also be in your hand. You're getting it? So these two are the same nature. Likewise, okay, in my hand, what is in my hand? The flower. In my hand, your eye consciousness seeing the flower, is it in my hand? Hey, your eye consciousness seeing the flower, is it in my hand?
Yes.
Yes. Wow. Okay, then millions of followers will follow you. Right? If you say something very unusual, okay. In my hand, eye consciousness, your eye consciousness, seeing the flower is in my hand. Okay. No. You're getting it? But in actuality, from the philosophy that you have learned, that these two are same entity means, ideally speaking, everywhere the flower is, there should be eye consciousness seeing the flower also in my hand. But it's not there. Not there. What makes you think that this is not there? Your thought. You're getting it? Your thought separated the two. The flower and the eye consciousness seeing the flower. Your thought separate the two. So this thought is expressed in what way? I want the flower, I don't want your eye consciousness seeing the flower. Right? I'm saying this. I want the water, I'm thirsty, I want the water, I don't want your eye consciousness seeing the water. I just bring the water. Can you bring the water to me? Yes. So, say, I said, I want water. I want water. You bring this. You will bring this. And then say, so this one that I'm drinking, I'm not drinking the eye consciousness seeing the water. You're getting it? I'm drinking the water. So, the split is made. That I'm drinking water, I'm not drinking the eye consciousness seeing the water. A split is made. When the split is made, it is as though like these two distinct entities. You getting it? So what made you to feel that okay, what is in my hand and not your eye consciousness seeing the water? And say, I said I want the water. You give the water in my hand. You getting it? So what is in my hand is the referent of the water or referent to eye consciousness in the water? What is in my hand? Referent of the label water or the referent of the label eye consciousness seeing the flower, seeing the water? What is in my hand? Referent of the label water, not the referent of the label eye consciousness seeing the water. You're getting it? So this referent, this label, when I say I want water, am I saying I want the eye consciousness seeing the water? Am I saying this? I'm not saying this. I just said that I want the water. So what separates the water and the eye consciousness seeing the water? This label. Is labeled to, okay, let me say this again. I want water. What do you bring? You bring this. You're getting it? Okay, so with this, when you bring the water, right, I'm interested only in the water, not in the eye consciousness seeing the water. You're getting it? And how do you know that I'm interested in water and not in the eye consciousness seeing the water? How do you know this? Huh? Okay, I say that I'm very thirsty, I want water, right? Will you bring your eye conscious seeing the water? You will not bring the water, you will bring the water. How do you know that I'm interested in water and not eye conscious seeing the water? Huh?
You said you're thirsty.
Because I use a word, I used a label. You're getting it? I use a label. This is the only indication through which you come to know what is going in my mind. I use the label. Through this label, you know that this person is interested in water and not I consciously in the water. Right? So this interest, what is this interest? Mental state, conceptual mind. So this conceptual mind splits what you're interested in, what you're not interested in. This consciousness splits, the mental consciousness splits two things. You're getting it? So the mental consciousness, that is reflected in the form of the sound, the label. I want water. This is just a label. So this label is the expression of what is going in my mind. So this mind, conceptual mind, that splits what I want, what I don't want. In actuality, what I want, which is water, what I don't want, I can't see the water. These two cannot be separable. But I see these two as separated because you see this as separated because of the conceptual thought. I see these two as separated because of the mind, the conceptual thought, which is expressed in the form of the labels. So the labels separate the two things. You're getting it? Separate two things. So in actuality, this separation, is it true or not? Flower? No, water. And then I can't see the water. This separation, is it objectively? Is it the entity-wise separate? No. Entity-wise, these two are not separate. Right? So these two entities are not separate, but these two are seen as separate, that water is the label, is the referent of the label, that they label water. And I can't see the water is not the label, is not the referent of the label, the water. So this distinction is made by the label, not by the reality. So therefore it is reality, true. So therefore water is not the true label, true referent of the label water. Reality, label. Okay, don't worry too much about that. The fact that you have listened to this, that itself is so precious. You're getting it? And you can discuss more on this. You can listen to this recording more, right? And then actual discussion on this will come as a part of Abhisama Alankara studies, particularly pertaining to the hermeneutics, study of the hermeneutics, where the Chittamatra philosophy is studied very extensively, right? Okay, so this third one. So the question that I asked is this one: the flower being empty of the true. And the flower being empty of the true referent of the label flower. So this concept can be understood in two ways. One, that the flower is not the true referent of the label flower, because this is the label randomly given by somebody. Not that object comes with being, then the people automatically, they came to be known as a flower. This is not the case. Randomly somebody called it, so it's not truly the referent. It's the random. True versus true as opposed to being random. So it's randomly given. So this is one way of understanding it. Another way of understanding it is that it is not the true referent. True referent means in reality, the water should be the referent of the water label, the label water, and not the eye consciousness seeing the water to be the referent of the water, the label water, right? In reality, this is not the case. Because in reality, meaning object subject, going to the object, there's reality. Going to the subject is the convention, right? Convention from the subject. So when we say reality, we go towards the object. Going to the object, from the object there's no distinction. These two are same. These two are same entity. The water and the consciousness seeing the water. These two are same entity. Cannot be distinguished. But what distinguishes the two things? The labels. You're getting it? Labels distinguish the two things. From the object, there's no distinction. Distinction made by the subject. So therefore, if it's coming from the subject, it's not real. So therefore, it is not it is empty of being. It is not empty of being truly the referent of the label, water. Okay, this is the. If you understand it this way, then you are taking this understanding towards the Chitamatra's philosophy, right? Otherwise, is very shallow understanding, and by no means it has any flavor, it has any connotation of the Chitamatra's view. Okay, now this is about the Chitamatra's philosophy. Now for the selflessness number 4 and selflessness number 5, these two. Okay, the idea is in both cases, number 4 is the philosophy accepted by Savatantra Madhyamika, and number 5 accepted by Prasangika, right? Okay, so in terms of the vocabularies, the two schools, they share many, and including the reasonings employed to establish emptiness, they share the reasonings, right? But in terms of understanding the depth of the philosophy, there's a stark contrast between the two. There's such a stark contrast between the two. So what we have to learn is that number 4, emptiness of true existence, they say that nothing exists truly, nothing exists independently. This is one presentation, which is what Prasanga also accepts. But the difference is that nothing exists independently and truly, but everything exists objectively. Everything exists objectively, intrinsically, and inherently. Okay, this is what they say. And now the one thing that we need to keep in mind is that according to particularly the more from the technical point of view, is that according to this school, we speak about ultimately the two domains. Ultimately, okay, this is very important. This school, but that is Svatantra Madhyamika. So what they say is that ultimately nothing exists. Ultimately, nothing exists. Conventionally, everything exists. Okay, this is something which Svatantra Madhyamika, Prasangika, both agree. Okay, what did you understand? Ultimately, nothing exists. Conventionally, everything exists. This is what the Svatantra Madhyamika, Prasanga Madhyamika both agree. Now, what they disagree is very important. What they disagree? Ultimately, nothing exists. Ultimately, the things existing from one's own characteristic. Things existing from one's own characteristic. Okay. For example, if I say the golden flower exists or not, the golden flower becomes the object of analysis. You're getting it? Golden flower existing becomes the object of analysis. So then you may ask, from which point of view? From the ultimate point of view or the conventional point of view? So then I say the ultimate point of view, you say it doesn't exist. Conventional point of view, you say, yes, it exists. Okay. Likewise, the object of analysis, we say self-characteristics, so things existing through one's own characteristics. In other words, existing by way of one's own characteristics. Existing from one's own characteristics. Okay, let's say that is the object of analysis. So, things existing by one's own characteristics. So this is distinction between the two schools. Things existing from one's own characteristics does not exist. Is not true in the ultimate sense. Both schools agree. Things existing with one's own characteristics does not exist ultimately, but it does exist conventionally. This is what Svatantra Madhyamika says. and but it not only it does not exist ultimately, it also is conventional also. This is prasangika. This is a distinction that we have to make. Okay, let me say this again. That things existing with self-characteristics, things existing with self-characteristics or from one's own characteristics does not exist ultimately, but exists conventionally. This is Swatantra Madhyamika. Things existing from one's own characteristics does not exist ultimately, as well as not conventionally, not even conventionally, not only ultimately, not even conventionally it does not exist as self-characteristics. This is prasangika. So this distinction we should be able to make, right? Okay, then, so what do you mean by emptiness of true existence while not rejecting objective existence, or while not rejecting existence for one's own characteristics, right? Things don't exist truly, don't exist independently, but they exist from its own characteristics. How can you understand this? And then from prasangika point of view, the fifth level, nothing exists objectively, nothing exists as self-characteristics, whether conventionally or ultimately. So how? So this is something which you're going to learn from Madhyamika Avatar, which is the current text which we are studying. Okay, number 5 is going to be the main thing that we have to study from this text. Okay, so with this we will turn to the commentary page 137. Yes.
In relation to the selflessness of autonomous substantial reality,
Yes.
when you said that whatever is autonomous substantial real is substantial, and then we took the example of the phenomenon, so this remains unresolved. How is the phenomena autonomous substantial real as well when it's not substantial?
Yes, it is not resolved because group discussion has not happened. Next group discussion is yet to happen. Tejala does not wait to that point. Right? Okay, so have a little bit of discussion. Why I actually this is not as if I bring all these small things there, some people who are not so keen on say they're learning all these technical terms, so forth, and they can easily say that, oh, what is this Nandal Master's course? This is totally dry intellectual discussion, right? If I bring these discussions, right? If I don't bring these discussions, these discussions, we can't expect the big dams coming up without the small tiny bricks. It is only the accumulation of these small tiny bricks that the big dams can be expected to come up. So likewise, these studies, the detailed studies, they will help our mind to really become sharp and nuanced in terms of understanding the very subtle emptiness. So therefore, I really bring these discussions here and there to make your mind to brainstorm more and to explore more and do more analysis. So it's for that purpose, right? Okay, so for that matter, the point is, as long as you get the main, if you get a grip of the main concept that I'm explaining, is good enough. But meanwhile, the other small discussions that I'm bringing in, and you can also not forget those points, discuss on these points as well, and then this will surely help you to sharpen and to see the same concept with a greater clarity. Okay. Okay. Okay, sorry. Let's turn to page 138. Page 138, the third line, which says the way in which mere conventionalities appear and do not appear to the three persons. So we are talking about the two truths, conventional truth and the ultimate truth, and then we are talking about we are talking about the conventional truth and ultimate truth and the conventionality. Conventionality, conventionality, again, in two ways, how things exist conventionally in one context. Other context is the conventionality in the sense of the concealer. Concealer meaning the deceptive mind which sees things as objectively real. Okay, so then the way in which mere conventionalities appear and do not appear to the three persons, right? Three persons referring to the three arahats, Shravaka Arahat, Vedic Buddha Arahat, and the Bodhisattva Arahats, right? So of course the Buddha, we keep them aside, and to these three arahats, how do things appear? Because why we pick to the arahats? Because they already eradicated the self-grasping ignorance pertaining to seeing things objectively real. Pertaining to see things as objectively real, say there are two things. One is the object appears as objectively real, and your mind engages or your mind apprehends object as objectively real. So one is the appearance, another one is apprehension or the engagement, right? So two things. Now, the deception, mistake can happen also in these two ways. The flower can mistakenly appear as objectively real, and your mind can mistakenly apprehend the flower as objectively real. So the mistake can happen in these two ways: appearance or the engagement or the apprehension. Now, for the arahats, which of the two mistakes is not permissible pertaining to objective existence? Which of the two mistakes is not permissible for the arahats? Apprehension, not the appearance. Appearance, mistakes can happen. For the apprehension, mistakes cannot happen because they've already eradicated, uprooted self-grasping ignorance. So the mistake pertaining to the subject apprehending the object is object real, that is already gone rid of from the root. Okay, now let me quickly read this. These things, moreover, while not inherently existent, means all phenomena, they are not inherently existent or they are not objectively existent, deceive the childish, yet they deceive the childish by appearing to be inherently existent. For us, we see anything that appears to a mind, they appear as objectively real and inherently real. This is how things deceive the childish-like being. Childish meaning the beings who are imbued with this self-grasping ignorance, by appearing to be inherently existent. Whereas for the three persons, the three arahats, the three persons, other than the childish, ordinary people like us, the three persons who were explained before, who are these three persons? Three arahats. Who are they? Sharvaka Arahat, Pradika Buddha Arahats, and the Bodhisattva Arahats. Before, things which are fabrications are conventionalities, meaning that things don't exist truly, right? They don't exist truly. If they don't exist truly, then they exist as fabrication. Fabrication means mental creation, mental fabrication, conceptual fabrication, conceptual imputation, right? So they see things as the conventionalities, not as truly as opposed to conventionalities. Fabrications are conventionalities. Then because of being dependent arising, fabricated things, they are not truths but mere convention. For them, for these three beings, all the things, what we see, what we call as conventional truths, they're all seen as fabricated. They are all seen as conventionalists. They are not seen as truth. They are not seen as truth because they are seen as like a magical illusion, right? They are seen as magical illusion, like a dream. So we call the dream as not truth, not true, and the mirage is not true, right? Okay. Furthermore, because they always employ mere inflicted ignorance, which has the characteristics of the knowledge obstruction. Knowledge obstruction meaning this is make it cognitive obscuration or obscuration to omniscience, right? We're talking about the two obscurations. What are the two obscurations? Afflictive obscurations and cognitive obscurations. Okay, for the cognitive obscurations, you may see different translations. They can be one could be cognitive obscuration, other one is obscuration to omniscience, the third one is obscuration to knowledge. So these are the three different translations. There could be more, right? But these three different translations, they are more standard translations. You have to know these different translations. Okay, so it says that the furthermore, because they always employ mere inflicted ignorance, what ignorance? Says self-grasping ignorance is not there. Unafflictive, not afflicted. Let's say unafflictive ignorance, which is not afflictive in nature, right? Because they have already got rid of the afflictions, which has the characteristic of a knowledge obstruction. Knowledge obstruction meaning cognitive obscurations. Because of these cognitive obscurations, what happens? Things appear to superiors. Superiors meaning arhats. Superiors meaning arhats. Arhats abiding in subsequent attainment, meaning that this is post-meditation. This is, post-meditation. So, during the meditative state, meditative equipoise, when they see emptiness directly, then things don't appear as truly existent. But to the post-meditation, then the cognitive obscuration starts to affect their post-meditative mental states. In what way they are affected? They start seeing the things appear as truly real, objectively real. You're getting it? That is how the cognitive obscuration affects their vision to see things as things appear as objectively real or inherently real. Who have objects that are together with appearances that are polluted by ignorance and its latencies. They are polluted, okay. Who have objects that are together with appearances. Appearances are polluted, not the apprehension. Apprehension is not polluted, the appearance are polluted by the ignorance and its latencies. Ignorance, cognitive ignorance, and the imprints, they do not appear to superiors. Okay, superiors mean arhats. Arhats, we can speak about arhats in two ways, two forms. One is the arhats in a meditative equipoise, and the arhats who are in the post-meditative equipoise. Okay, arhats who are in the post-meditative equipoise, the objects appearing to them, they are afflicted, they are affected by the cognitive obscurations. But arhats in a meditative equipoise appear, but they do not appear to superiors abiding in meditative equipoise, possessing an object that is without appearances. For them, for those in meditative experience, they see emptiness non-dualistically. So it is said that one of the technical presentation is that object that is without appearance. This is a technical term. Object without appearance. This is what is being given there. And don't forget this part, object without. Why? The non-dual wisdom of emptiness is described as the wisdom with the object without appearance. Why is that known as the mind with the object without appearance? Okay, so this, to make it very quick, is that the Okay, don't forget this expression, but don't use this expression very easily also. For you, I'm using this expression, but for for others who are particularly who are very naive, who are new, don't use the expression. It can create a lot of the misunderstanding. It can give more confusion. Okay, so here, object without appearance. Object without appearance, meaning that how do you see emptiness directly? So the Buddha at one time, the Buddha said that not seeing anything is seeing the ultimate. You're getting it? Not seeing anything is seeing the ultimate. Not seeing anything meaning there's no appearance at all happening. There is an appearance of the best of the object. Right? So this is something which requires more, say, the reflection. And of course, as we get into emptiness more clearly, you will understand this concept better, right? Okay, not seeing anything is seeing the supreme or seeing the ultimate. Don't forget this expression. So therefore, this is known as the object without appearance. Okay, so then here when we speak about for arhats with meditative experience, then the things appears illusion-like. Hey, arhats with the meditative experience, meditative voice, things appears illusion-like? No. Then things appears objectively real? Then how do things appear then? So the object that they experience is known as the object without appearance, right? Okay, let's stop there, which means that the perception is not affected by cognitive obscurations. But the same arhat, when they come out of the meditation, when they go to the post-meditative state, then the perceptions are affected by the cognitive obscurations, making things to appear as object real. But they know that they don't exist as object real, but the objects appear as object real. So therefore, if things appear, but you know that they don't truly exist, what is your impression of them? This is deceptive appearance. You getting it? So this is how for the arhats, these arhats, they see things as like illusion. Okay. Then the question arises, what is cognitive obscuration? What is cognitive obscuration, right? Okay, well, let's read. Question, well then, what does the system consider to be knowledge obstruction or cognitive obscuration? This system, referring to Prasankika. Response, in the explanation of the supplement to the middle ways. Supplement to the middle ways are Acharya Chandrakirti's text, the main text which we are studying. In this explanation of the auto-commentary. Explanation here referring to auto-commentary. Auto-commentary by Acharya Chandrakirti. It says, in four destroyers, the latencies of ignorance prevent the full distinguishment. So this explanation will be given by Acharya Chandrakirti Lama Tsongkhapa in the following the commentary. First, let's read this. In four destroyers, the latencies of the ignorance prevent the full distinguishment of objects of the knowledge. Full distinguishment of objects, it simply means prevents the knowledge, full knowledge, prevents the full knowledge of the object, as simple as that. Okay, prevents, in other words, prevents them from knowing all phenomena. Yeah. The presence of latencies of attachment and so forth are also causes of such kinds of engagement. So this latency of the ignorance, latency of the attachment, aversion, and the latencies. Okay, so this, let me quickly explain this. What Lama Tsongkhapa is going to explain here, and what we have to know is that the tendencies or the latencies. Mental tendencies and mental latencies. There are two kinds. For example, seed, apple seed, there are two kinds. apple seed, which has a potential to give rise to apples, apple trees, apple shoot, and the apple seed which is damaged. Right? You put it into the water, soil, whatever, no matter what other factors are brought in, it will not germinate into a sprout anymore. It has lost the potential. So, likewise, the imprints of a mind is of, I would say, latencies. Latencies, there are two kinds. Latencies are the potentials. Latencies better. Latencies, there are two kinds. One, latency which will germinate into the full-fledged afflictions, and the one which will never germinate into the, which will not germinate into the full-fledged afflictions. Two. One which will germinate into the afflictions, they are known as the seeds. Seeds. The seeds of the afflictions, which are more the active imprints. And the latencies of the imprints, which will not germinate into the afflictions anymore, ignorance, so forth anymore. So these are the. So there are two classes of the latencies or the imprints. There are two classes. One which does not germinate into the full-fledged afflictions. These are known as the cognitive obscurations. You getting it? The imprints, mental imprints, and the mental latencies, which will not germinate, which are not in the form of a seed, active seed, which are not in the form of active seed to germinate into the full-fledged afflictions. These are known as the cognitive obscurations. The latencies will not germinate into the full-fledged afflictions, and latencies will germinate into full-fledged afflictions. There are two. Will germinate, they are still under the category of the cognitive afflictive obscurations, and which will not germinate, they are the bhakcha. Bhakcha means the latencies, and these bhakcha, there are two. Bhakcha, which can germinate. Those which germinate, they are like the active seeds. Active seeds fall under the afflictive obscurations. Those will not germinate bhakcha, which are not the sabun meaning the active seeds. Sabun means the active seeds, which are not the sabun. They are the active seeds. Sabun, S-A-B-O-N, S-A-B-H-O-N, sabun, B-H-O-N, H is better, B is sabun. Okay, bhakcha is the tendencies or the imprints. And tendency imprints or the latencies. There are two kinds. One which is active enough to germinate into the afflictions, and one which will not germinate into afflictions too. One which will not germinate, they are known as the cognitive obscurations. Okay. If you understand this, we read, you will understand it. Okay. Now let's read this response. In the explanation of the supplement to the middle way, this is auto commentary. It says, in 4 destroyers, do they have the active seeds to germinate the afflictions? 4 destroyers? They don't have. So they only have the inactive seeds or the shative or cognitive obscurations will not germinate into the active afflictions. In 4 destroyers, the latencies of ignorance prevent the full distinguishment of the objects with knowledge, which means it will prevent having the knowledge of all phenomena. The presence of latencies of attachment and so forth, likewise not only ignorance, the latencies or subtle imprints of the attachment, aversion, so forth, same. So forth are also cause of such kinds of engagements of body and speech. Meaning that, okay, so the indication that they have the inactive seed or the latencies of the afflictions, attachments, so forth, that they have is that even as somebody becoming arhat already abandoned samsara, already abandoned self-grasping ignorance, still their behaviors in terms of physical, in terms of the verbal, the you still see limitations there. You still see faults there in terms of the physical and the verbal, right? Which are more like not the deliberate, actively intended actions, but like imprints, like habits, habitual tendencies. Okay, so let's read further. The engagements of body and speech. Body, for example, like say if they were, before they become arhat, if they were like, say the herders, right? The shepherds. Then, as a young child, young boy, young girl, they may be playing on the what? Yeah. The swings, right? Like the way the monkeys do. Even after becoming arhat, they also do that. Right? They also do that. Okay, one. And then the other one is that, say, some people, some. In fact, this is what we have to learn how to avoid. Say, without any intention, without any bad intention, say, somebody comes, right? Oh, you are into that house, this one. You leave. Oh, that house, this was building like a water tank. Unnecessary, no bad intention, but just unnecessary comments coming out of that, uncontrolled comments. No bad intention, but these things come in. The moment somebody comes from India, you say something India. Somebody comes from America, there is something bad about America the moment the person leaves, right? Or even in front of the person can say the same thing. Perhaps like water tank, it's unnecessary. Right? Although I still see this as a water tank. Yeah. These are unnecessary. These are all the unnecessary habitual things. So even somebody becomes arhat, still these things can come out. Right? So before we become, going to the Gadi, Paragadi, right? The Mahana Path, we have to control this even more. For arhats, it's fine. Right? For them, as long as start grasping their instance got rid of, the job is done. But for following the minor part, we should be very sensitive not to injure the feelings of others. Right? Even unintentionally. The arhats, they will not injure. They will not deliberately injure, but because of these habits, they can injure others' feelings, Yeah. Okay. But for the minor practitioners, these things are totally unnecessary. Right? Just see how unnecessary comments, just be observant of your body, speech, and mind. And see how these unnecessary comments are coming out, unnecessary things, and which easily hurt other people. What degree, if I say, will hurt other people? There's no degree, right? It depends on how the other person receives. If the other person is very delicate, right? What degree of push can hurt the other person? Depends on how badly injured the other person is. If the other person is very strong, right? You punch, still the person will not be affected. And if the person is so weak, you just press like this, right? Can give such acute, excruciating pain. So therefore, there's no such a measure to say that if I say this much, 20%, then I is allowed, right? People will not be injured. No. Even a very, in some cases, you say good thing will hurt other people. Say bad thing, of course, it will hurt other people. Even good things, other people will be hurt, right? So we should be extremely sensitive to what we say, particularly from the Mahana path, right? To make sure that others' sentiments are not injured. This is so important. For the Bodhisattva practices, there are several unique features. One is not to hurt the sentiments of others. This is so important. And of course, if without you being, without you being rectifying what the other person is doing, and otherwise other person can misguide many other people, then you have to rectify, right? Otherwise, for no reason, simply because of one's own personal, thinking or personal whatever, your own, who cares? This is my thinking. Then you say something, right? This is totally the unacceptable with regard to the Bodhisattva's path, right? Okay, so therefore, one is to not to hurt the sentiments of others. This is so precious, so precious. The moment Bodhisattva's path is to embrace all other beings. The moment you hurt somebody, the person will run away from you. How can you embrace the person? Right? How can you embrace the person? And without embracing the person, how can you think of become a Buddha for that person? Right? In the first place, the little opportunity that you have to embrace that time, you push the other person, unnecessarily saying something, and the person feels hurt. And we can't expect that the other persons, right, the other people, they are very advanced bodhisattvas. If they're advanced bodhisattvas, we don't practice bodhisattva path. No need. Right? And then we know, for us, no need to have the big bodhisattvas, advanced bodhisattvas. The fact that we are following the bodhisattva path means to have those people who are so destitute, who are so weak, not getting the opportunity to follow the bodhisattva path, forget about the bodhisattva path, not getting the opportunity even to hear about what Amtila says, right? Who are very selfish. The fact that they are very selfish means they're suffering terribly. So they need the help, right? And who cares, So they are so selfish, so ungrateful to what they've been doing. If this is, you want somebody to be grateful to you, you want somebody who's already so nice, then go to the Bodhisattva world, the world of Bodhisattvas, right? And they will take care of you, you don't have to take care of them, right? So what for we are practicing the minor path, right? So these are things. One is to be very sensitive to not to injure the sentiments of others, number one. Then number two is to be courageous. To be courageous. Courageous meaning to take the responsibilities, right? To take the responsibilities. This is so important, to take the responsibility in whatever capacity. Even in a family, it's not necessarily that, okay, they've been part of the Natural Masters course, which is they're greatly a part of the very sophisticated version of the Bodhisattva path. They follow the Bodhisattva path. So I should take the responsibility. He said that we should take the responsibility. Okay, what can I do to solve the UN problem? You don't have to go to that extent. Even if you are in a family, see how you can do it in a very skilled way so that your children, they become a happier person. They become more considerate towards other people. Your wife, your husband, your parents, they become more considerate towards other people, right? And then you encourage them. Your children, they start taking some responsibilities in the school, right? You encourage them rather than saying that you can't even take care of yourself. How come that you become the representative, the students are like this? Forget about it. No, never discourage your children. They can make mistakes, it doesn't matter. Just tell them, encourage them how to take responsibilities. This is so important. Number two, with courage, taking responsibility. Only when you take steps, you can make mistakes, right? Say if I don't want, say for example, let's say this table, either this table should remain very dirty, or you will see that this table is always very clean, but once in a while the glass may break, right? If somebody does not take the responsibility at all to clean this table, this glass will never break, right? But simply because the glass is not broken doesn't mean that this is wonderful, because the table is very dirty. Somebody who takes the initiative, who has a feeling, to take the responsibility and to make this clean. In the process, the glass may fall and may break. So which means that the person has taken some initiative. Right? That is very precious. Don't look at things from the glass is broken, it's very precious. How dare you can't even take care of the glass? Right? How can you? No, you should look at the other side, the beautiful heart, the initiative. This initiative will make the person the Buddha eventually. always shirking the responsibilities. This person, as long as this bad habit is not curbed, the person will never become enlightened for others. So therefore, with the courage, taking responsibility, this is so precious. And particularly amongst the children, if you see that they are taking responsibility, even as a very young girl, young boy, age 4, 5, 6, taking responsibility within the small group in the school, taking whatever responsibility the child takes, right? You have to encourage them. And of course can make mistakes. And in the process, the child can easily become angry and fight with others, right? Teach them during these such situations, then fights can happen. If that happens, control your anger. There's a great opportunity for you to grow. Anger destroys you. Anger destroys everybody. Like this, This is how we encourage. Number 2 is the courage to take the responsibility. Then number 3 is no expectation in return for the good things that you do. The moment the expectation comes, self-centered attitude is there, right? No expectation in return, right? It is not that 100% you do something good for others, and then a tinge of expectation comes, especially somebody thanking you and so forth comes. Okay, now I know this is not the case. We can't expect that. We learn about these things, the next day you become so pure bodhisattva. No, don't expect that, right? So these expectations can come. When they come, right, don't encourage these expectations. Identify that this is a weakness triggered by this self-centered attitude, and this self-centered attitude is the greatest of the enemy of my following the bodhisattva path. Greatest of the enemy for me to become a Buddha. Greatest enemy for me to become independent of the external factors, right? It makes me so weak. It imprisons me all the time. So now this is a great opportunity for me to identify. Now look, again the expectation has come to me, right? So there, my self-centered attitude is again becoming active. I will not give in to this self-centered attitude. You take this opportunity to encounter, to fight with this self-centered attitude. So these are the areas that we need to work on, and particularly pertaining to follow the bodhisattva path, not injuring the other sentiments unnecessarily. Number 1, with a greater purpose, of course, we have to do it. But without a purpose, unnecessarily, unnecessarily saying something, throwing comments, unnecessarily, people are hurt. This is totally against the bodhisattva's path, number 1. Then number 2, courageously taking responsibilities of others. Then number 3, number 3? No expectation in return. And then number 4, never ever excluding anyone. Never ever excluding anyone from the circle of your compassion. You may have conflict with somebody, it doesn't matter, right? And somebody may be so biased and so rude towards you, and you may become really sad, disturbed. It's fine. But simply because of that reason, then from your side, this person, I don't care, right? The moment that comes, the bodhisattva ideal is already severed. So therefore, never ever, under no situation, we are to relinquish anybody, even the worst of the person who can actually come to actually literally kill you or whatever, right? We are not to exclude them from the circle of the compassion. Deep inside, right? Superficially for skillfulness, you may show a little bit of, say, the disapproval, the no agreement. You may, express a little bit of sadness and so forth. But deep inside, right, feeling of love and affection must be there always. Try to hold that person, hold every single individual, whether human beings, spirits, animals, gods, goddesses, the insects, hell beings, herbivores, everyone. Never ever exclude anybody from the circle for compassion. This is so precious. And then How do you know that this practice is becoming stronger and stronger with you? Unnecessary talk about, being judgmental about somebody else. All this slowly will be subdued, right? Whether in front of the person, behind the person, only good things will come out of your mouth pertaining to the other person, right? If there's a reason, if there's a very specific reason, then it's different. Say somebody is misguiding so many other people, then you have to, unless you say something very strong, people are not getting convinced, you have to say something very strong. Otherwise, without such reasons, if the bad words are coming, right? If the bad words are coming, even if you're a Gishi, Rinpoche, or whatever, right? The practitioner, whatever, bad words are coming unnecessarily, which means the feeling of love and affection is very less. When that happens, bodhicitta is far away. I'm saying this again, right? So therefore, whether in front, behind, backbiting, and then saying bad comments, throwing bad comments, unnecessary bad comments, they are all to be discouraged, right? So with whatever big labels that you might have, right? No big labels, small labels, big labels, 10 years education, no education, whatever. If all these comments are coming from behind, then they far away from bodhicitta, right? So labels will not help. So the point is that these are points that we have to keep in mind. Okay, with this, we have to finish this part. Okay, I'll quickly read this passage. In four destroyers, the latents of the ignorance prevent the full distinguishment of the objects of knowledge. Full distinguishment. Hopefully, in case if the translation by the Dr. Tudenjiba comes out, that would be wonderful. There's the language problems there. Then, furthermore, the latencies of ignorance, attachment, and so forth are overcome only in the omniscient and the Buddhas. Only in the omniscient and the Buddhas. They are not in others. Okay, so these latencies, imprints, meaning cognitive obscurations, you will see that they are totally over only in the case of the Buddhas. Okay, now Lama Tsongkhapa's commentary, very quickly. Although the teacher prohibited the negative tendencies of body speech, the teacher here refers to the Buddha. Although the Buddha prohibited the negative tendencies of body and speech of jumping like monkeys and calling others female servants, this is not a good translation. It is not a female servants. This is more like, say, what is that in English? In English, what do you call this? In English, what do you call this? So unnecessary, talking some frivolous thing with no bad intention. I have to, huh? Not idle gossip, it's too much. It's very strong. So the idea is just throwing comments. Just throwing comments, even it can be one word, not necessarily chat. It can be one word, right? Huh? Ramblers. For example, ramblers? What ramblers? Okay, let's say ramblers. Huh? Not really talk, and even one word is also good enough, not necessarily talk. One word is not talk, I don't think. Right? So the point is, say the ramblers or the frivolous, something very frivolous, which if you intentionally say this, is very destructive. But sometimes it comes out, so some people, they say everything. And then when you say, you said it, oh, I did not mean it. Right? This is how we cover up things. Okay, so basically, they say that what I said is more like the ramble. It's not intentionally coming, it's unintentionally came out. Okay, so this is what I was, this is not in Tibetan, it is the Mongmo, Tibetan. This is Mongmo, it translates as a female servant. This is not really the case. So this is where the translators, they should have. So in my case, when I translate things from Tibetan to English, I make sure that I give a particularly the very standard the text. I'm making sure that there is always somebody who is very good in English to go through this, and somebody who is the natural English to go through this, to make sure that it really conveys the meaning properly. Okay. Engagement body speech that exists in four destroyers, they are not overcome. They will not overcome. Stating furthermore indicates that the latencies of attachment and so forth also prevent the distinguishment of object knowledge, which means it prevents the knowledge of the all phenomena. Okay, this is a language problem. The latencies of the afflictions are knowledge obstructions. These latencies of the afflictions, which are subtle ones, they are the cognitive obscurations. They result all factors of mistaken dualistic appearance. What's the result of this cognitive obscuration? The result is that the dualistic appearances, meaning seeing things as objectively real from the object. So this mistaken appearance, okay, not only dualistic appearance per se does not have the problem. The problem is the mistaken dualistic appearance. Dualistic appearance per se does not have a problem. People say that it becomes non-dual, dualistic has no problem. Dualistic for the ordinary people has a problem. Because for the ordinary people, dualistic is what? From the object. Means from the subject. From the object means objective. That is the ignorance. So therefore, the dualistic per se is not a big problem, which we're going to study with next class. When is next class?
Thursday.
Not Thursday.
It is. The diploma class is not on Wednesday.
Okay. The master's course, another master's course is on Thursday. So next Thursday we'll study that. Dualistic per se is not a problem. For the ordinary people, dualistic is a problem. For the ordinary people, dualistic is a problem. For the ordinary, dualistic is because of one's own initiative, from the ignorance. Okay. Well, the latent dualistic appearance are also included in knowledge obstruction, meaning that when you have the mistaken dualistic appearances, these are all included meaning that these are because of the cognitive obscurations. Okay, we'll stop here. Quick dedication prayer. Page 278. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful charity, Tenzin Gyatso, Vijamin until samsara ends. Karera Gorve Jinganzo, Pendon de Wamadu Chumbene, Jere Senwa Tenzin Gyatso, Shabes de Bardu Denguruji. Just the great magician and some about the true realized things as they are. Also, I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow the perfect example. Jambala Jidara Gambada, Gondo Sambo, Tian de Jindo, Della Gwenge Jesu, Nakuch, Yawa de Nakam Jeratu. I dedicate all these rules of virtue with the dedication praise as the best by the victorious ones thus gone up to 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. May the Supreme Bodhicitta that is not arisen and rise and grow, and may that which is arisen not diminish but increase forevermore. Sanjo Rinpoche. Magya Panam Gyoroche Gyava Nyamba Merambaya As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to this for the miseries of the world. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, man could attain the state of Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exception into their enlightened state. I dedicate the merit thus gathered towards the realization of the deeds and the prayers of all the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas of 3 times, and to the whole of the Dharma of teaching and realization. May I know all life through the force of this merit, never separate from the full wisdom of the Mahana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta that perfect within the 2 stages. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings, I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the wishes of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. The path of union of emptiness and compassion is loosely explained by the protected Buddha Dharma and the beings of Snowland. You are the lotus soul that tends in Gyatso. You are the wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. Chana Bemo Tenzin Yazola, so Denzo Shundo Dendro Shu. May the operations of evil thoughts and deeds of the negative forces of humans or non-humans who have a ministry of perverted prayers against the teachings of the Buddhas be totally vanquished through the path of the truth of the 3 jewels. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stages of the paths, I could attain the state of Vajradhara. Throughout my future lifetimes, may always be guided by the Majeshri and be able to hold the Dharma in general and the teachings of the pedagogies in particular, even in the course of my life. Okay, so the next class will happen at 3:30. Okay, let's say 3:15. 3:15 will have the next class.